this got the internet in a tizzy, as Disney has done something that many people looked at and they're like, that's great. Or how could you? You're killing children. As they have pulled a transgender storyline from Pixar's Win or Lose streaming series. Now, this gives you a little background here, but I'll just kind of read this. The series follows a co-ed middle school softball team named the Pickles. Now, I'm going to tell you this right now. There's a lot of irony in this softball team being named the Pickles in this situation. In the weeks leading up to their championship game, each of the 8 episodes center on the off-the-field life of a character and their point of view, whether it be a player, a parent, coach, or an umpire. A spokesperson for Disney confirmed that the story arc was removed and provided the following statement to The Hollywood Reporter. When it comes to animated content for a younger audience, we recognize that many parents would prefer to discuss certain subjects with their children on their own terms and timeline. It's like, hallelujah, we've been saying this forever. We finally have, I don't know, bigger question. Is this Disney wising up to the customer for the first time? Arch, let's hear your thoughts on this.
In part, yes, because this is now a part of a bit of a pattern. Because Inside Out 2 and the Acolyte series were both canaries down the coal mine. The Acolyte was, okay, what happens if we fully dedicate ourselves to the bit of wokest DEI? What happens? Will we finally get the wider audience? The answer was no. Inside Out 2 was like, okay, no suggestion of gay in there, no relationships for the 13-year-old girl. This will simply be a family movie. Let's see if the conservatives come out of that. Like, see if the families come out and watch that. The answer was yes. So now Disney's sitting there with the data. Woke does not sell. Traditional family films do sell. And this is going to be their confirmation, because they probably thought to themselves, okay, Inside Out 2, major brand, probably, we can't take that for absolute gospel. It might have sold just on its name. So let's do a smaller series, do a traditional old school storyline, remove the transgender bits. If that sells, then they can bring that up to the boss of Disney and go, right, we've tested this twice now. It turns out just doing what we did for like 50 years, it works better. Who could have known?
It's amazing how that works out. You just keep doing what you're doing. Well, we'll continue with the story. It says the character does remain in the show, but a few lines of dialogue that reference gender identity are being removed. A source close to Win or Lose said the studio made the decision to alter course several months ago. What happened several months ago?
I wonder.
Well, Inside Out 2 was a massive success after they removed all that stuff.
And a certain political party shot its bollocks off.
Mm-hmm. So, this goes back to 2022 around Disney and, Doc and Bob Chapek, criticizing the Florida's bill here. But what's interesting about this is that it has actually been leaked online, the scene itself. Have you seen this scene yet?
I have not, no.
Okay. Now, I'm going to play this in its entirety. And for those of you who are watching on the archive, we may get struck down for this. And if this just goes to the next part, gets been edited out, I encourage you to go follow us over on X, because we're going to repost it over there, just so you can see it over at Side Scroller Pod. So follow us over there for things that we can't do over here. So, okay, but here is the scene itself. Now, I'm going to remove the audio from it, because the audio that's played during it actually is one of my favorite songs from Epcot, which will certainly get flagged. So we're just going to watch the scene, and we're going to watch it in its entirety. Then I want to go back and actually look at what's being said on the bottom, because it's just a mock-up of everything. So here's the scene that one of the scenes that's being pulled here. So he's walking up, kind of real unconfident. I'm guessing that this person's name Elves gets a call. Turns out it's from Kai's dad, and we'll go over what's being said here in a second. That is the scene that's been pulled. Now, I think it's important to go back and kind of see what's being said in this, right? And really what happens is Kai comes in, talks about the cast. I don't know, there's some sort of line says you'll get ants in your cast, and that sends Kai, I'm guessing this is a reference to the show, into some like really weird social place here. And after Kai runs out of the bathroom, win the big game, can I? And this is what causes the fracture here. Oh, but I'm a girl. Yeah. Response here. Totally. And I can't read what happens down here at the bottom. It says, and then the dad says, please don't forget about your dear old dad when you're on. But the whole team is here for you if you ever need to talk. So, and that's pretty much how it is right there. Thanks, coach. And all is happy and well. So there's that. Arch, your thoughts?
Well, the symbolism is about as subtle as a dump truck, of course. And like the entire thing of it, you begin with what bathroom are you supposed to enter? So that sets up the whole, like, we should be allowed to enter whatever bathroom we want narrative. Now, we don't know exactly what this character looked like, but I suspect they're probably going to be fairly female presenting, frankly, looking at their design. And then they were presumably born male because the father calls them a son. And she comes apart at the seams, like she doesn't know what she is. She's fracturing and she's breaking apart. But what I find very interesting is that she's put back together when the external group then comes and like, hey, you're welcome here. That feels exactly like the kind of separating you from the parents that people have a problem with. Like, oh, no, you can't go to your father to talk about this. You've got to come to us, the extracurricular activity, the outside group. We understand you. We accept you. Not your parents or your father. No. I see why Disney wanted to remove it.
Blabs, why? I mean, it seems really unnecessary if I'm being totally honest with you. But Blabs, what do you? I don't know. What's your thoughts when seeing that?
I thought it was very, very sad. I do. Because like clearly this child has all these mental health issues, and there are children like that in the world, right? And instead of like getting the proper help that they need, which is huge mental health issues, they're struggling so much that they're gonna have like all these massive issues later on in life. And it's like, damn, Disney, this is not the way to go about this, because you're only just being like, look, that's you. You have the mental health issues. See, you're just like Disney character XYZ. And so I personally, I think this is very, very sad of them to do this shit. Yeah, I'm not for it. I'm glad that they removed it, because I get they're trying to be empathetic, right? The coach is like, they're there now and all that stuff, but like, that's, yes, empathetic, but also be like, no, you have mental health crisis. Let's go get you the help you need. Not be like, oh, bad dad also. It's like, oh, my son and everything. Well, now you're just making the dad look like a piece of shit. Well, maybe the dad doesn't know what you're dealing with, you know? So, like, I think it's just very sad, and I think it's very much in poor taste for Disney for doing this shit. Propaganda, really.
Oh, certainly. I mean, it's, why does this need to be in a like, think about the amount of storylines that you could potentially have. What does this have to do with anything? Like, why, you have infinite storylines and you still felt the need to put this in there. Like, your storylines are only as creative as you want them to be, but you felt the need to do this. But look, I think it's great, because what Disney said here, as far as, when it comes to animated content for younger audience, we recognize that many parents would prefer to discuss certain subjects with their children on their own terms and timeline. Yeah. That's all we've asked this entire time. Keep all this stuff out of it. Like, you do whatever you want to do when you're 18, right? We can all look at you and think you're weird and you have mental health issues. That's fine. But there's no reason for this to be pushed on children. Zero reason for people say, well, it's just such a tiny percentage of the audience. Then why are you pandering to that audience? Why are you catering to it? To normalize this, right? To normalize mental health issues. That sounds like a horrible idea. Now, this was passed our way as well, which is, her name is Chloe Cole. And
she's a former trans.
Yeah. And her bio says former trans kid, testosterone blockers at 13, double mastectomy at 15, detrans at 16. So she said, given the recent news of Disney pulling out a transgender storyline from the upcoming movie, I thought I'd repost my conversation with the board at Disney at the annual shareholders meeting. So I have not seen this. Blabs, have you seen this?
Yes, I've seen it. It's basically just her giving her opinions. There's nobody else in the conversation.
Okay, let's see what it says.
She limits the presentation to 2 minutes at most. Your line is open now.
Good morning. I am Chloe Cole, patient advocate for Do No Harm, a group that seeks accountability in the medical profession. I am presenting proposal number 7 titled Report on Gender Transitioning Compensation and Benefits, sponsored by National Legal and Policy Center. Disney pays for gender transition interventions, but not detransitioning care. Therefore, the company discriminates based on gender identity under EEOC regulations. I speak from personal experience as someone who was deceived and physically harmed at a young age by gender ideology, validated by the medical industry and pushed to the masses by corporations like Disney. Influenced by modern media and social networks, I began a transition to male at age 12. By age 16, after practitioners I trusted encouraged me to take puberty blockers and get a double mastectomy, I tried to come back to reality, but it was too late. My body has been irreversibly damaged, and years later, my chest is still in bandages. My doctors have abandoned me. You doctors look and shrug. As a result, I am suing those professionals who steered me into taking these destructive steps that have permanently scarred me. But Disney, in its arrogance, has responded to our proposal by stating that I am only trying to generate attention for a limited agenda. Mr. Iger, Disney, under your watch, is pushing the limited agenda of gender ideology. Disney has become the Ursula that is stealing the voices of thousands of little Ariels across the world by telling us that we can be something that we can never become. The lawsuits are coming, sir. It's only a matter of time before current or past employees whose bodies and lives have been irreversibly harmed will show up at your door looking for justice and restitution. Please vote for proposal number 7.
Yep. I remember seeing that, actually. Hearing the investment call, they voted the proposal down, incidentally.
That's so tough to hear. You know, these kids who have been manipulated and you know, it's pointed out here, my Soul Silver says they're literally villainizing the parents, right? And I think that all kids at one point, they look at their parents and like, you don't know what you're talking about. You don't know who I am. Blah, blah, blah. You know, everybody at some point in their life has done that. But to see that put in a show, it's such a stupid idea, right? Like, oh, well, what bathroom should he use? Like, what are we doing? What are we doing here? And it's refreshing. Some people think it's this is a, you know, they've said this is a calculated move by Disney, you know, a tactical retreat, if you will. We'll see how this show does. We'll see, because I had not heard of this show before then. Because I say this all the time. Ultimately, the market will decide. The audience will decide. Will this show blow up? Will it do well? I mean, it's a Pixar show. It's not, like, on the surface, it sounds like something that I'd let my kids watch. You know, it's like it's Pixar. It's fun. It's kids. It's baseball. You know, like, seems like a fun little show. But you hear about something like this and you go, oh, okay. Then you hear Disney saying they're going to pull back, and you're like, okay, Arch.
I mean, it is a calculated retreat because they put it in. They wrote it out. They were planning to add it, and then they realized the political winds are no longer in our favor. We can't do this because, this is a cutting the parents out of the conversation kind of scene where you're supposed to rely more on this outside group. And this outside group's actions are often to go like, oh, no, you're totally trans. That's absolutely sure. A 12-year-old child who cannot even decide what to wear in the morning. Mm-hmm. So we're going to transition you. Like, okay. And as the woman said in her call, that's not something we can fix. That's the problem. This isn't a switch we can flip on and off. This is major invasive surgery that can leave you literally scarred and deformed for your life. We should not allow this decision to be up to children. We should not even indicate to them that this is an option they have. It is absurd. Like, no, you don't get to ruin your body before you can vote.
It's amazing. It's amazing that we're at a point in society. Like, people will look at us talking about this and they're like, this is a crazy right-wing show. It's like you ask anybody a decade ago about this, they'd be like, that's insane.
Yeah.
Right. And now people are like, that's such a crazy thought process. Like, are you serious? Like, really? You're a decade ago, you would have been fine with this? Okay. Tell me again who's changed. It's just nuts. And here's Singular says, Coach, I accept you for who you are. Now let's call CPS and get you fed into the state foster care system. There you go.
Yep.
Right. Carl says, no, Disney has a long way to go to be trusted again. I agree.
Now, there's a very important point as well, because I can recognize the fact that Disney is backtracking, and I can see that as a win for our side, because it signals that we are gaining the cultural dominance we need to affect real change. That does not, however, mean that you should let Disney get the get out of jail free card on the first try either.
Yeah, I agree. Like, once again, it goes back to trends, right? Good. This is a couple changes that they've made, starting with Inside Out 2, now with this one, right? Now get to the point where you don't need to make those changes, and you're just releasing good stuff, and you don't have to make a comment about something being removed.